My postcard today is from London on Thames. Embarkation, Wapping Pier. There's so much to see from the River Thames, which rises in Gloucestershire 210 miles away. Now, Cleopatra's Needle is the oldest monument in London. It was built in 1450 BC, nothing to do with Cleo, except that it was a gift from Egypt. And there's the Globe at Southwark, the place for entertainment in Elizabethan times. The Thames is a tidal river and liable to serious flooding. It's not a new problem. In 1236, the Palace of Westminster was recorded as having boatmen rowing across Westminster Hall. Now, this is where the Thames curves in a huge horseshoe and creates the peninsula known as the Isle of Dogs, now home to one of London's most famous redevelopments, Canary Wharf. The Thames is the permanent home to many different ships from many different periods. This is the Second World War's HMS Belfast, which is today part of the Imperial War Museum. She had 6 torpedoes and a firing range of over 14 miles. In 1666, a small fire started in a bakery in the city, and neither the Lord Mayor nor Samuel Pepys thought it serious. In fact, the Lord Mayor commented that one woman could put it out by urinating on it. Within 4 days, virtually the whole of the city of London was destroyed. The Oxo building. There's a household name. That's where the Oxo factory used to be. You know, once at a fete in Harefield where I was brought up in Middlesex, I met Katie, who became famous as the Oxo woman. Now, this is the second incarnation of Waterloo Bridge, built originally to commemorate the famous defeat of Napoleon. Did you know there are 32 bridges spanning the river between Tower Bridge and Hampton Court? Grand stuff, isn't it? The mother of all parliaments, where the United Kingdom is governed from. Take a good look at that. There's not many sights as good as that on any river anywhere in the world. When Wordsworth wrote the famous On Westminster Bridge, after crossing at dawn on his way to Dover, he was talking about a much earlier version than the one you can see now. The Great Fire was not the only incident that changed the face of London. Fires and floods have destroyed parts of the city time and time again. A fire in 1834 destroyed almost all the old Palace of Westminster, and what we see today was the result of a design competition in Victorian times. Parliament has been ruling the land from here since Henry VIII's death, when the House of Commons moved from Whitehall. See those red and green canopies there? From there was launched a big campaign to restore and to heighten the awareness of the county of Middlesex, a very historic county whose identity has been completely swamped by the growth of London. So, you know what? All of that is actually in Middlesex. Well, I think it's time to go up on the bridge to meet Steve, the captain. It's not easy doing a U-turn in a little motor car on a road. It's certainly not very easy doing a U-turn when you've got a great big boat, which is very, very long indeed, over 200 feet long. And that's what we've just done in the middle of the River Thames. That's Steve behind me doing that. I think he's having a cup of tea now. He deserves it. With so much traffic on the roads, you know, travelling by river is so much more relaxing. So peaceful. Ahoy there! Oh, look, there's Richard Branson. You know, it used to be a lot more unpleasant on the Thames. Just a century ago, there were 400 sewers, slaughterhouses and tanning factories, all dumping waste directly into this river. I think I know why the House of Parliament traditionally closes during the summer. The stink from the river must have been appalling. That's County Hall, the headquarters of the now defunct GLC, Greater London Council, and coming up is another famous hall, the Royal Festival Hall, the only original building left from the 1951 Festival of Britain and home of one of London's most famous concert venues. Nearby, the Queen Elizabeth Hall, the Hayward Gallery and the National Theatre together form the modern and quite unattractive South Bank Centre complex at the heart of London's art scene. Blackfriars Bridge marks the mouth of the River Fleet. Did you know that that river now runs hidden beneath Farringdon Street? This is what remains of one of the old Blackfriars railway bridges built in 1862 to 4. The bridge beyond is the second railway bridge. You know, a sunken Roman barge was found here, still carrying the stone meant for the city's walls. After a prolonged campaign by an American, Sam Wanamaker, the globe has been lovingly restored and reconstructed and stands 5 minutes away from its original site on Bankside. The New Globe Theatre or not the New Globe Theatre? That is the question. Of course it is. Thank you, Mr. Wanamaker. And now for one of the most famous bridges of them all, Tower Bridge, built to match the oldest and bloodiest castle in the country, the infamous Tower of London. The tower, best known for its role as a prison and execution site, was also built as a palace, fortress, and was home to the Royal Mint at one time. It covers 18 acres, creating London's smallest remaining village within its walls. Some of the most lurid and bloody stories in British history have been played out behind those imposing turrets. And as we all know, once you were taken in through Traitor's Gate, you'd rarely come out alive. On this Tower Bridge, you can just see on the left the outline of the Tower Thistle Hotel, and this marks the beginning of the St Catherine's Dock area, the first of the old Dockland areas to be redeveloped. Designed by Horace Jones in 1886, Tower Bridge is one of the most impressive of all the bridges spanning the Thames. Each tower houses a lift to take you up to a footbridge between the towers, once a favourite haunt of prostitutes and suicide jumpers. The bridge is still raised frequently, though now by electric power rather than by the steam pumping engines, which you can still see if you pay a visit. Do you know that the Thames River Police were founded 28 years before the first bobby ever pounded the beat on land? It's true. Towards the end of the 18th century, Docklands was part of the largest port in the world. About 8,000 boats would be working in the 6-mile stretch of Dockland, and amidst the chaos, theft of merchandise was rife. The River Police were created in 1769 and financed by the local merchants. After a period of severe decline, Dockland redevelopment has transformed many of the areas, the most famous landmark being Canary Wharf, and from one of the most modern areas to one of the oldest and most historic, Greenwich. The Cutty Sark stands proud next to the National Maritime Museum, set in 200 acres of Royal Greenwich Parkland, behind which all time is measured by. The Royal Observatory, of course, being the home of Greenwich Mean Time. The history of Britain as a seafaring nation can be discovered almost in its entirety by a visit to this Kentish town. Now, they might look like a line of hooded space-age monks, but they are in fact the largest movable flood barrier in the world. They form part of it, the Thames Barrier. It spans a distance of half a mile at a comparatively straight section of the river, and there are signs to vessels indicating which side of the barrier they can pass. The Red Cross and the green arrow. You can go that way. Yep. But you know, before the barrier was built, with global warming and rising tides, the floods became worse. Only in 1953, 300 people were drowned in one of the worst recorded floods, and then the Greater London Council agreed to construct a vast barrier. Completed in 1982, it took 8 years to build and cost £500 million. It's an extraordinary feat of engineering. From this view, you can only see the top of the pier roofs. They are actually made of wood with a skin of stainless steel over the top. They house the hydraulic cylinders, which are attached to those yellow things. See? Those yellow things are rocking beams which are connected to a gate arm weighing 1,100 tons. Oh, it's all too much. There's the famous Woolwich Ferry. Started in 1889, but dating back to at least the early 1300s.
She is a special boat. She's like the biggest in the UK, but she has got all this high-tech manoeuvring that they built, that she's been built with. We've got no steering wheel, we can direct our thrust anywhere we like, which makes it a special boat.
Made in Lowestoft, Suffolk?
Yeah, she was built in the UK, which is another good thing, in Lowestoft by a firm called George Pryor. And we brought her down from Lowestoft, end of April, beginning of May. We arrived in the Thames Sunday morning. Monday morning we went out to work, and from there to now, she's been working. Every day gets better than the last one.
Well, we better let you do that now because
Yeah.
we're going straight up. I can see Canary Wharf in the distance.
Yeah,
we better let
Canary
you
Wharf.
get to work, Steve. Well, after all those voiceovers, I'm absolutely exhausted, so it's about time that I ate. So it's down to the galley, and they're preparing something very nice, I hope. Don't know what that is. Looks tasty. Put right down. Bread. Freshly baked. Crispy bread. Ooh. Is that gravy or Zeus? Who knows? There's something tasty plonked on that lettuce. That all looks tasty to me. Oh, I think I'll have to sit down. Wait for them to prepare in the meantime to this very nice, attractive music. Why don't you have a little look round London? Oh, nice. Lovely. Well, Big Ben says it's 7 minutes to 9, and by my reckoning, you should be in bed. Cheerio.